Welcome to the FITPodcast, Freedom in Truth, where truth is taught and freedom is lived. Attitudes of the Kingdom, instructions for kingdom living. We are now in part two. Part two, as you can see, we last week we talked about part one, where Jesus had just came off the mountain, and he was basically at the foot of the mountain, and we talked about how he healed a leper and how he met with a centurion. Well, what happened is that we're going to show you a map, and on this map you're going to see it's going to help you understand where Jesus traveled to, because he said he traveled to Capernaum, right? And as you can see on the map, his travel, where he traveled to after he came off the mountain, he went into Capernaum. And then that's where we're at this hour. We are in Capernaum with Jesus, and we're seeing Jesus do some incredible things. The first thing what we saw him do in Capernaum is that he healed the centurion servant. He had a conversation with the centurion, and we know the story about that. And his servant was healed from being paralyzed. Okay, so what we're going to talk about is the cost of discipleship. But I just want you to um, welcome. I want to welcome our brothers here again. My brother here, brother Jared, and my brother brother- this is Jared Brodie, Dwayne Greene. We're here in the back, and we're continuing to discuss what we're going to talk about. And our topic is the cost of discipleship. And while we're doing that, while we're getting ready, while you getting your scriptures lined up, Matthew chapter 8, verse 18 to 22, just go ahead and like our page, share our page, and then you can also go on our YouTube channel, if you're not there already, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and also share our page as well. So, Brother Jared, Brother Greene, we're going to talk about the cost of discipleship. This one is a pretty interesting conversation. The cost of discipleship, and as we know, we refer to discipleship. It's a more, we say, fellowship, following Jesus. Because people really, they separate discipleship and Christianity and Christian. They separate that. But in reality, that is not true. Biblically, I would say biblical reality is not true. There's no separation. They both mean the same. Because who did they call disciples? What did they call Christians? They call the disciples Christians, right? Why do they call them? Because they remind them of Jesus. Right. They call them, as you can see in the Bible, they call them Christians, right? They call them Christians. You can see this in the book of Acts. They call them Christians because they remind them of Jesus Christ, right? Of Christ. And the reason why they call them that, because it was more of a derogatory thing. It's like, you think about the derogatory statement that black people were called back in the day. You know what I'm saying? We don't want to say that word. But we know that, and that word, we know how that make us feel if somebody you know, call us that word. Well, that's how they were trying to make the disciples feel when they call them, you Christians, you know what I'm saying? But today, like, we use that word loosely. Christian. I'm a Christian. I'm a Christian. I'm a Christian. Well, we're going to talk about discipleship. And if you don't know out there, discipleship, disciple and Christian, uh, biblically is the same people. Today's Christian society, they say it's separate, but I don't. I don't live my life like that. I don't live, and I'm pretty sure you guys see the same thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read Matthew chapter 8, and I'm going to read a few verses, and then you can take over like we talk about. Okay. And I'll read. As a matter of fact, I'll read from 18 to 20, and you'll take over from there. So, like I said, the title is The Cost of Discipleship, and it says in Matthew 8:18-22, it says that when Jesus saw great multitude about him, he gave a command to depart to the other side. Then a certain scribe came and said to him, Teacher, I will follow you wherever you go. And Jesus said to him, Foxes have holes, birds of the air have nests, but the Son of Man has nowhere to lay his head.
Then another of his disciples said to him, Lord, let me first go and bury my father. But Jesus said to him, Follow me and let the dead bury the dead, their own dead.
Brother Jared, Brother Dwayne, the cost of discipleship, what it means, what it takes to follow Jesus. Now, Jared, give me your thoughts, brother. Give me your thoughts, just on that title alone, and what comes to your mind?
But just with the title alone, the cost of discipleship, I think often when we think of discipleship, we don't, or it's normal not to associate a cost with it.
Right.
I think it's just, I become a Christian.
Yeah.
And it's all, sunflowers, rainbows.
Yeah.
It's great. But
yeah,
there is a cost that, comes with this life, with being sanctified, with being set apart. And so I think it's really important to, really, as you walk with God, it shows you who's doing certain things for the right reasons and who's not. Because if you're not doing it for the right reasons, this cost will come. It'll be too much for you to bear. And so, but yeah, just the cost of the discipleship, it puts things in perspective.
Right.
Lets you know, it's obviously it's a nice life being with God, but it's a hard one.
Yeah.
It's a hard one.
What do you think, my brother?
I think the cost of discipleship is that I know before I got saved that I was nobody pretty much like messed with me. It kind of left me alone.
Yeah.
But once I became a Christian and started following his ways, it was like people was coming at me. And I'm like, Lord, why is this happening? But what I learned was that he'll fight my battles. I can get out of the way and let him fight my battles.
Got it.
And that's the cost of discipleship, is being the bigger person, you know what I'm saying? Being able to love your enemies in spite of them hating on you. So
that's real cool. It's like, that means there's a change involved.
Right.
When I think of the cost, there's something, there's a total, there's a sum total of agreements, some things I have to agree to that in order to make this work, I'm gonna have to agree to some things.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
In order for me and you to do business, there's a cost for you and I to do business. Whether that cost is going to be $100, $100,000 for me to do business with you, there's an agreement between me and you, right? In order to make this business relationship work.
Right.
If I'm not willing to uphold my end of the bargain on that cost, it's going to be a problem in this relationship. Would you agree?
No, I agree.
Because you be like, and you're going to school for business, to study law, and that's going to be tailored around business and all that stuff. So I know you're gonna have some really great insight when you come back and when you get into the business society and stuff, to give people, to help people understand what it means to do in that area. But just thinking about it, it's a cost. And going to verse 18, it says, actually, where in verse 19 it says, a certain scribe came and said to him, Teacher, I will follow you wherever you go. That's one of those statements where, like, hey man, I got your back, man. Hey man, I don't care what's going on in your life, I got your back, man. I got you. I mean, you need anything, brother, I got you. You know what I'm saying? And then, and then you call, and then I won't pick up.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, that's the way it goes.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's one of those sweet words.
Yeah.
But when the rubber meets the road, ain't nothing happening, bro. It's coming up blank. It's bouncing all over the place. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. What do you think about that statement? He said, I'll follow you wherever you go. It's like sweet words to the ear.
It is. It's something that sounds good.
Yeah.
But as you mentioned, you can say these words, but there'll be a time when you have to, cash in these words, or it'll, the opportunity will come and see if you really meant what you said.
Yeah.
And so I think, talking about the cost of discipleship, a lot of times too, as we've mentioned, it's not a monetary thing.
Right.
Obviously we have to we pay our tithes, but you can't buy your way into this life.
Yeah.
And as Brother Dwayne mentioned, it's all about the actions. The action, being the bigger person,
That's right. That's right.
And so it's a lot that comes with it. But I'll follow you wherever you go. It sounds good.
Yeah.
And I hope people who say these things actually mean it.
Yeah.
Because it will be tested whether you mean
there
it or
you
not.
go. It's going to be tested. And I'm glad you used that word tested, because think about it. We say a lot of things we proclaim a lot of things that we want to do in life and stuff like that. And sometimes, we make these statements in the presence of God.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we stand in front of people and say it. Sometimes we're in our own private room or space, and we say these things, and God hears us. And we make declarations. And what does God do to prove us? Is putting us through tests. You know what I'm saying? You said, God, I love you. I'm going to love you this. And then all of a sudden, and I'm not going to ever do this and do that. And then you get out there on the highway and somebody cuts you off, and you ready to take that person's head off. Speaking of loving your enemy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. There's a lot of things that we can say, but being the Jesus that we serve, what was Jesus' response to that? So I'll follow you wherever you go. What was Jesus' response to that, Jared?
Jesus said, foxes have holes and birds of the air have nests, but the Son of Man has nowhere to lay his hand. And so when I read this, I hear him saying, are you sure this is what you want? Are you sure what you want? Are you sure you know what you're getting into?
Ooh, that's it. Wow. What do you say?
I think, like I said, like Brother Jared said, it is like you have to think about the actual cost of the discipleship and what it's going to cost you. But it's going to cost you some things that you might not think you could bear. But he won't put more than you can bear. So that's one thing that you should know. That's one thing we need to know as Christians, that we have the victory. We just have to stay in Jesus, and he gonna carry us through.
Yeah,
so what I'm saying, we just got to keep that faith.
Yeah.
I remember growing up, there was this kid. He would, I think it was 7th, 6th grade. He said, I want to be a pastor when I grow up. And I was thinking, do you really want to be a pastor? There's a lot that comes with it. I don't know what he's up to now. But there's a lot that goes into it. So you shouldn't be rushing into things. We have to know the cost.
Yeah, that is so true. Because Jesus immediately let him know, you want to follow me? I'm gonna let you know. This ain't gonna be easy. Because foxes have holes, birds have nests. They got somewhere to go.
Right.
But I don't even have nowhere to live. I don't even know where we're gonna sleep tonight. We might be in a cave tonight.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We might be out in the desert. Walking where he's supposed to be asleep. You'd be walking all night in the desert. You know what I'm saying? We might be hiding from the soldiers, the Roman soldiers. Might be fighting awesome stuff.
Right.
Trying to protect yourself. You might, as a matter of fact, you might be up all night while I sleep, and while the other 11 sleep. Your night might be, you're gonna have to be up tonight. You know what I'm saying? You gotta be up with the sword tonight. Can you handle that?
Yeah.
While we lay down, while we get our sleep.
Right.
Can you handle that? You know what I'm saying? And you bring it in today. Can you handle when this flesh flares up? Are you willing to tell this flesh no? When somebody slaps you, remember we were talking about slapping you on the cheek and all that stuff, and you know what I'm saying? And
turn the other cheek.
Turn the other cheek.
You know what I'm saying? Look, you heard what I said when I was on the mountain. Now it's time to put that stuff into practice. You talking about you want to follow me? You know what I'm saying? That when people come at you and start yelling and screaming at you, are you gonna yell back when they start cussing at you and all that stuff? You gonna cuss back at them? You know what I'm saying? It's a cost.
There is
some things you're gonna have to be quiet on. Are you willing to be quiet? You know what I'm saying? Oh, I ain't no punk.
Right. Yeah.
Ain't nobody gonna talk to me like that.
Right.
I'm gonna go and I'm gonna punch them in their mouth.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Are you willing to step back and say, are you willing to be like Martin Luther King when they were putting the hose and the dogs on him to not throw a blow?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? What do you guys thoughts on that?
Well, I just think that, like, I really like the way you phrased it when that flesh wants to rise up. Are you willing at that moment to put it back down? And it's easy to say, like, now I can say certain things. We can all say certain things, but when you're in that moment, that's when, as brother, Dwayne's mentioned, and realizing that trusting in God and having that faith in God and having Him help you through that situation, because there are many things that we go through that we can't. For you, it may not be a problem, but for me, it may be a problem, and so without God, we won't be able to get through it.
That's right.
But it takes us, being with Him, having that faith, having that relationship, so that when these moments do arise, we're able to pay that cost.
Yeah, because you think about, I think about this, brothers. You think about the 3 Hebrew boys. Right? They were told to worship another God. You know what I'm saying? They said, no, y'all can't worship your God. Y'all gotta worship this God. And they said, if you don't, we're gonna throw you in the fire.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And you think about the cost. And they say, look, whether you're gonna throw us in the fire or not, we still gonna worship the God of Abraham. Well, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. We still gonna worship that God. And they said, well, we're gonna throw you in the fire. I said, well, okay, so be it. Are you willing to surrender to that, to know that's a possibility, that you're gonna be thrown in the fire or something gonna happen to you severely? Are you willing to know that if you stick with this, Jesus, you stick with me, this, you're basically saying that you're ready to die.
Right.
You're willing to die.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And in biblical days, they did die. In modern days, people are dying in some countries because of Jesus, because of that they refuse to let go and say, look, no, I ain't. Okay. And they threw the Hebrew boys in the fire. Now, you can say, okay, God didn't show up when they were getting ready to throw him in the fire. He didn't show up when they were talking about throwing him in the fire. But they still believed. He showed up when they got in the fire. Think about that. There's a possibility that God may not show up until you get locked up. When he showed up to Paul and Peter, he showed up after they got locked up. After they were placed in the dungeon. You know what I'm saying? He didn't show up when they were threatening them. Hey, if you don't change your thoughts, change your mind on this, we're gonna throw you, you know what I'm saying? So there's a possibility. What I'm saying is a possibility. He may not come when you want him.
Right.
You know that song? Yeah. You know that statement? He may not show up when you want him, but he'll show up, right? But it could be in these situations. There's a possibility that, hey, well, mom is sick, dad is sick, or I asked God to show up, and he may not heal him.
Right.
Are you still gonna believe him? You know what I'm saying? What do y'all think? What do you think?
Well, I think, like I said, I was told by a pastor a long time ago, was that anything that God put you in, He could pull you through. So one thing that I try to remember is that I'm getting tested.
Yeah.
Because I'm gonna have a testimony. So
yeah,
I don't curse my crisis.
Come on.
When things happen, I'm like, I'm not saying, God, why me?
Say that again. You don't curse.
I don't curse my crisis.
Oh man.
So when
God
things
put that
happen,
on the shirt, man. I
I'm
don't
like,
curse my crisis.
God, I know you got me. So all I gotta do is just be faithful. Pray. I might have to turn my plate down. I might have to fast. I might have to pray. Get into my word. But I know at the end of the day, I'm gonna have the victory with Jesus, with God. So therefore, that's why I try to keep my head down and just give Him the praise.
That's it right there. Let's go to the other one. This one is very interesting, and it says then another. This one is actually another of his disciples. This is actually a Christian. The one who described, obviously he ascribed that doesn't mean he was a Christian. He was a disciple of Jesus. But they were specific with this one. This one says, another of his disciples said to him, Lord, let me first go bury my father. Now, I want y'all to think about that statement. You know, and some people, growing up as a Christian, I really thought, but I share my thoughts with you. Tell me what you think. What's your thoughts?
Well, I really like these two verses because, the disciple says, first, let me, go bury my father.
Mm-hmm.
And Jesus says, follow me and let the dead bury their own dead. And you can
Mm-hmm.
read this and you can think, oh, Jesus is being harsh,
Mm-hmm.
But I think what Jesus is trying to say here is that for this disciple, if it wasn't his father, it would have been something else.
Yeah.
And we see this, in our own lives where
Mm-hmm.
maybe you want to start a diet. So, I'm going to start next week.
Gotcha.
And then next week comes and McDonald's has a 2 for $5 quarter pounder sale
Mm-hmm.
and you get the quarter pounder. So you have to realize you have to come to a point where you have to start, worrying or start acting on, kingdom business.
Mm-hmm.
If you push it off, it's going to keep pushing
Mm-hmm.
it off and off. But you have to decide at a certain point, hey, I'm going to start this, and this is where I want to live my life. This is, I want to be a disciple. I want to follow things of God. Otherwise, things will always come up that'll prevent you from doing it. So you have to make that conscious decision to start.
Awesome. What do you think, sir?
I think that part of what Jesus was saying, like he said, he wasn't being harsh, like Brother Jared said, but a lot of times we make our problem bigger than God.
Yeah.
And so God's saying that's gonna take care of itself.
Yeah.
Take care of my business and I'm gonna take care of you.
Yeah.
So that's one thing, like I said, I don't try to make my problem bigger than God, because no problem is bigger than God. God solve all the problems. So he already got it figured out. We're trying to figure it out, and he already got it figured out. So
he already got it figured out. That what I can tell you, when as a young Christian, when I read this, I was like, man, the guy's father died. Let him go bury his father.
Right.
But now, as an older Christian, I understand and I know the scriptures better than I did back then. Is that he was not saying that his father was dead and that he had to go bury his father. That was not what he was saying. What he was saying, after doing research and background behind the scripture and understanding the Jewish background, he was saying, when he was saying, let me go bury my father, that doesn't mean that he had to go run off and go bury his father. What he's saying is that I have to take care of my father until, he passed on. Until that could be 20 years, 30 years. You don't know how long that's going to be. Right. He said, in other words, I don't want to leave this area because my father is still here and I need to and then go with you. And then who's going to take care of my father, and so to speak. He said, right. So his excuse was, look, and another thing, because in a Jewish, with a Jewish background and what they know, the laws, how Jews supposed to take care of each other, is that the children supposed to take care of their parents.
Right.
That's talk about in Isaiah. They're supposed to take care of their parents. You know what I'm saying? And taking care of their parents is what they're supposed to do. And then what he's saying is that, look, I need to take care of my father. I need to be with him, be around him, be near him until he passed on. And once all that is taken care of, and then I'm gonna go ahead and think about this discipleship thing that you're talking about. You know what I'm saying? Right. This is one of his disciples. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, it wasn't one. It didn't say it was one of the 12. It could be. He had additional disciples. It's just that they weren't part of the 12. But this Jesus saying, no. Let the dead bury their own dead. You know what I'm saying? Because what I understand from this, when I did further research with this, is that some children, parents are wealthy, even back then. As a matter of fact, a lot of them were wealthy parents. So if you stick around, if you're close by, you know I'm getting there, right? Obviously, you could get some of that ching. Right. You know what I'm saying? Right. Some of that wealth could pass down to you. Right. But if you go too far, you follow me? You go too far, you all the way, in another countryside. Right. And you may not even get the word. By the time you get the word, then your dad died. And by the time you make your way back there, everything already been distributed.
Yeah, they didn't have the internet transfer. You couldn't online.
They didn't have a telephone.
Right,
Hey, Dad died. You know,
right.
well, you can get it in seconds.
Right.
It takes months and weeks for that information to get to you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because they wrote letters to people, and those letters travel by foot or horseback. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. So there was a whole lot. He was saying a lot, and Jesus understood what he was saying.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's why Jesus made it clear to him that the dead bury their own dead. You can follow me. He's like, look, I'm gonna take care of you. You know, as a matter of fact, I take care of your father for you while you're gone. You know what I'm saying? But you're not even thinking. You're not looking at the situation through Jesus' eyes. You're just looking at it through your own eyes. You know what I'm saying? That's why he's saying, hey, look, I don't want to lose all this money here, Jesus. Come on, man. Cut me some slack. Let me go. Let me hang out a little bit. Just give me a couple more years. You know what I mean? Hang out around here. You know, take care of Daddy. Make sure the fields are good, the goats and the cows and the sheep, everything's straight and all that stuff. You know, but Jesus like, no. You know, I mean, you gotta hang out. You gotta come to me.
Right.
That's the cost. You're gonna have that's the cost. You're gonna have to let that stuff go. All that money that Daddy have, you're gonna have to. You know, as a matter of fact, Dad may not like the fact that you going following Jesus, and he could take you out of his will because you like that Jesus thing so much. He said, as a matter of fact, and they'll throw it in your face. Hey, look, if you don't stop doing what you're doing, or you know, come on around here and help me out with these sheep and these goats. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna go ahead and take you out of the will, and Susie gonna get it all. You know what I'm saying? Try to create an animosity and stuff like that. But Jesus said, hey, that's the cost. You know what I'm saying? That's the cost. And Jesus said, if you look at it from my perspective, that the spiritually dead people bury their own physically dead people. You know what I'm saying? Before we close, what are you guys' final thoughts?
The last thing I want to say is that if you're considering, being a disciple or following Jesus, you'll never get to a point where everything is lined up. Everything's not going to be perfect. Before you can follow Jesus, there's still going to be some rocky moments. Still going to be some rocky things going on in your life. So you can't wait and say, when XYZ happens, I'll start to follow you. Because when XYZ happens, there's going to be ABC. The more things are going to come up. And so, as I mentioned before, just making that conscious decision. As Brother Dwayne and Brother Jason mentioned, trusting God, having that faith in God. You do that, and God will take care of you. And it's hard to see. It's hard to see from your perspective now, but just try your best, and then believe in God, have faith in God, and he'll show himself.
That's it.
Like I said, even with this scripture, I thought back to when I lost my biological father. I got a call came, and he's sitting down. I'm like, I'm about to get ready to go to work. And I'm like, okay. I was like, so what you do? I'm like, about to go to work because at the time I had my kids to take care of. So therefore I know he's gone. There's nothing I can do with him. He's gone. And when I got to work, I told him, I was like, hey, Lieutenant, I need some time off. This and that. I'm like, what you need time off? I was like, my dad passed. I was like, you okay? I'm like, I'm okay. I'm gonna go to work. I had the compartmentalize, but I knew at the end of the day, God had me. He had my family. So it's something you like you say you make bigger than what they are, but God can handle anything. So that's the one thing I've ever learned in this life is to just let God be in control.
That's it. That's it.
Word too much.
That's it. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Family out there, we are hoping and praying that you get something from this. That one, that you understand that when you say you're a Christian, you're also lining up with discipleship. If there is a distinction between the two, you need to check and recheck your commitment. Because I know they say out there in the church world that Christian and a disciple are two different people. Well, biblically, they're not. In today's society, they separate. The Christian world, I guess it happened in the Christian world, because nobody wants that commitment. They say a disciple is someone who's committed, and a Christian is somebody who just, not so committed. But the reality is, there's nowhere in the Bible where Jesus talked about Christianity. He talked about discipleship.
Mm-hmm.
Later on, after Jesus died, resurrected, and went to heaven, Christianity came up. The word Christian came up. So what I'm saying is that know that there's a cost. But if you look through the process through the eyes of Jesus Christ, through his word, you can line up with the cost and you can actually get through the difficulties that come along with the cost of being a disciple, being a Christian, being saved. And then you can actually get ahead. You know what I'm saying? And the cost is actually better for you because the reward is greater than how much it costs.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So know that's what's out there, that the reward is greater than the cost. But just know there is a cost. But be willing to pay the cost, to endure the price, to follow Jesus. Don't get wishy-washy. Don't go like the wind and the waves. You're over here 1 minute, you're over there the next minute. You're hugging somebody today and you're cussing out somebody the next day. Don't be all over the place. Be right down the middle. Line yourself up with Jesus Christ. And I promise you, you will be rewarded at the other side of the call. So don't forget to like and share our page. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. This is FITPodcast, Freedom and Truth.